Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Let's see who was here first. Ania, thank you so much for being here first. There are no prizes, but I am glad you're here. Lydia Washington, Connie Balmer, Mary H., Gwendolyn Daniels, and a host of friends and others. Okay, let's get down to it then. And I'm going to put this up here just so I can make sure I have sound. Um, what do I mean by Royal Rumble? I wish I knew. I couldn't think of nothing else. All right. Seriously, I couldn't think of nothing else. So I just put Royal Rumble. All right. Next. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle aren't destroying the monarchy, they're ensuring its survival. Now, that was an article that it came out, back in August of 2022. Well, it was true then and is true today. Um, they are what's keeping that monarchy relevant. Without them, um, especially after losing the queen, I don't know what they would have. I really don't know what they would have. The only reason why the Kate Middleton has any kind of relevance is because of the careful and meticulous way they have literally tried to tear another person apart just to lift her up. And the same goes for William. It was the classic cautionary tale. You hear me say that a lot, but do you ever really think about what that means? Um, and even if you chose to use another way of saying, you know, they have used a comparison, they also have used that strategy that Margaret is only able to exist because her sister lifts her up every time she falls. Her sister has been her example, her hero. Um, and if she can save poor Margaret, surely she's able to sustain this nation. That is exactly what they're going to do with William for the rest of his life. They're going to find 1,001 ways to say, well, thank God Harry wasn't born first. Of course, we all know that's rubbish. I think the person who made the best case for King Harold or King Harry was, of all people, Hoghead Pierce Morgan. When he wrote that article saying exactly why Harry should be king. And while he may not ever reign over a nation like his mother, he will definitely reign in the hearts of the people. And that's what Princess Diana said. She said, um, I don't believe I'll ever be crowned queen, but I want to be the queen of people's hearts. And that's what Harry intends to do, to continue his mother's work. And he has been very successful at it. 2024 has been their biggest year so far. It has been their biggest year as a couple, in terms of their public service. Huge. Of course, for them, the birth of their children is always going to reign supreme over everything else that they could possibly do. But as outside observers, I have to say they're making history and they're changing the world at the same time. And I feel privileged to be along for the ride, to vicariously um, do these things. Um, of course, watching them from afar. So yeah, it's been a great year. So that article, it says Prince Harry and Meghan Markle aren't destroying the monarchy; they are ensuring its survival. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry have been accused of trying to destroy the monarchy. They have faced criticism ever since speaking out about their struggles as former working royals. royal commentators told Insider that the couple are modernizing the monarchy. The critics argue that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are trying to destroy the monarchy by speaking out about the issues they faced while working as royals. But in reality, the royal commentators say the couple is making the institution better. Two people who recently condemned the couple are Tom Bower and Piers Morgan, Hoghead Piers. Speaking on Piers Morgan Uncensored in July, Bower said Prince Harry and Meghan Markle pose a real threat to the royal family. The only real threat is that they have given them a blueprint on how to modernize the royals, how to execute a perfect royal tour. They have really given them everything that they need. Now, it's probably too late for Charles and Godzilla, but for those other two, we'll see how much of a Sussex tour that we see mixed in with that ghastly stuff that they do when they go places. Let's see, they went on to say, I think they're destroying the magic of the monarchy. Morgan agreed they are calling royals a bunch of callous racists. Well, I agree with that one. And so on, without any hard evidence to support these claims. Well, you don't find evidence where you refuse to see it. It should not escape anybody's notice that these middle-aged to elderly old white people who are not the best, shall we say, voices to speak out about racism or race relations, they speak with so much authority about something they don't identify with, they could never fully understand. And even worse, they don't care. They really do not care. They're not trying to save anyone but themselves. And of course, it says it's likely Morgan was referring to Meghan and Harry's Oprah Winfrey. Now, mind you, when this article came out, this was in 2022. So this was like a year and some months later. So that, of course, is what they have been referring to. It seems like they have only just let that go. They haven't really let it go. They will introduce it as needed, but one person who disagrees with Bower and Morgan commented that is Grant Harrow, a former butler to Prince Charles. Harrow told Insider that he worked at the palace from 2004 until 2011, and he personally knew the Duke of Sussex. I don't believe for a second Harry would intentionally try to destroy the monarchy. Harold told Insider, I wouldn't put it past him to want to modernize it and make people aware of the things that have gone on that are wrong. Harold said that the palace HR department will likely use Harry and Markle's feedback to make the institution better, just like any large company or organization would. He said he speaks from personal experience, as he was always encouraged to raise concerns with the palace's HR department when he worked there. So even though they are making these accusations, Hoghead Piers Morgan and Tom Bower, they know that the old ways are not really relevant and do not work. It doesn't really speak to the masses when they hold these what do you call it, those garden parties and such. It makes them look busy, right? But it doesn't really speak to working class people. They don't have a voice with the veterans. They don't really have the voice to speak to most people. I believe that it's just a matter of routine, and the public just really ignores them. They don't really pay much attention to it. It should come as no surprise that most people in the UK can start and finish an entire day, week, month, or even year and not pay much attention to that family. They're like the wallpaper. Let's see, Kristen Meinzer, a royal commentator based in the U.S., argues that Markle couldn't possibly be attempting to destroy the monarchy. After all, she advocated for humanitarian issues long before she met Harry. She spoke about gender equality at the UN Women's Conference on International Women's Day 2015, and in 2016, she spoke to Elle about her experience with racism. Meinzer told insiders that the royal family skirted around these issues before Markle joined the royal family, and when they finally did speak about them, it was in the narrowest of sense. Meinzer said, such as Prince William's tweeting about racist heckling during soccer matches in 2021. William was publicly criticized after last year for speaking about racism in soccer while simultaneously failing to acknowledge Markle's experience with racism. Isn't that ironic? You have the ability to condemn racism, not just in soccer, but when it's directed at your own family members, please use that power. It would speak volumes, Meisner wrote on Twitter at the time. Meisner told Insider that while it would have been nice if William had publicly supported Markle, at least he and the royal family are now speaking about issues such as racism. Not a lot, and really not in a way that is impactful, but whatever. Meghan, as well as Harry, helped bring the monarchy to this point. She added, and if they survive the next century, they'll have the Sussexes to thank. Representatives for Buckingham Palace and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex did not respond to the insider's requests for comment. No surprise there. Hey, Legs. Legs says, has the British royal family spoken out for them? Nope. Enough said. There you go. There you go. As a matter of fact, the campaign against the Duchess of Sussex seems to feed the Brexit MAGA type of people, and their base of support just happens to be a bunch of racist Karens. So, yeah, the people that support them the most, the ones that are most outspoken, not really for the palace, but just against Harry and Meghan. But of course, some of them are hardcore, royalists. They are not really the type that are known to, have any type of investment in race relations or the ones that would speak out about race issues. So, yeah, that is their base. That is their base. And, one of the things that I heard, I was watching I think it was like an old 60 Minutes from about 10 years ago. And they asked Jimmy Carter about a comment that he said in regards to Ronald Reagan. And Jimmy Carter did not apologize for it. Jimmy Carter told the truth. And that is that Reagan made race relations in the United States much worse. And that's because Reagan used dog whistles to get elected president. Reagan announced his candidacy in the same county where the Klan started. And that was not an accident. That was a dog whistle. Reagan, in case some of you guys never heard this, Ronald Reagan was the one who said, "Make America Great Again." He is the one who coined that phrase for the purposes of election. It wasn't that fool, that buffoon. It was Ronald Reagan. And so much of Trump's campaign really is the same dog whistles from Reagan, and of course, then some, aided with the use of social media and Twitter and such. Um, like I said, there's a lot that Reagan and Trump have in common. A lot. I mean, Reagan literally broke the chain. There had never been a divorced president before he got there. Not that that makes a difference in job performance, but it's just one of those interesting facts that you cannot ignore that they were both showmen. And Reagan, the famous union buster, as far as I know, as far as I can remember, I do believe he's the only president that's ever been a member of a labor union, the Screen Actors Guild. Isn't that ironic? He's the only president that not only was a member of the union, eventually he became the president of that union before he became governor of California. Reagan had a vision to turn the clock back, and they both speak to a certain group of people in this country. Um, the big difference is, of course, that Donald Trump, he knows to, shave support here and there, just like, you kind of shave a block of ice. Just want to skim a little bit of support from people who otherwise would never support you to, you know, get over the top. So, anyway, um, that was an interesting article that I came across, and I just wanted to see how that article has aged. And considering 2024 and how big that was for the Sussexes, especially in terms of their royal tours, I guarantee you the next time the government of the United Kingdom allows Will and Kate to make a foreign trip, it is going to be so similar to Harry and Meghan's. It is just going to, of course, they are going to stumble. They are bound to stumble because they're not being themselves. So they are bound to stumble. You can best believe that they are going to trip somewhere, but it won't be because they didn't try. So, all right. So thank you again, Legs, for the comment. And let's go to the next slide. Oh, I need to open up another screen, don't I? So I can see what you all are seeing. There we go. And I am going to pin the official Royal Sussex wish list to the top of the screen. As usual, I have to caution no one is obligated to buy anything from the wish list, but it is fun stuff that I like to try or whatever. So, yeah, that's that. All right. Diane Hawkins, thank you for being here. Marshar, Cookies and Cream, Beverly McGaskill, Amelia Rodriguez, Lola Love, CK. By the way, Connie Balmer, I was looking at a travel documentary where someone went to Stad, and they say that's like one of the most expensive places in the world. Oh, but was it beautiful? They stayed at that Palace Hotel, and there's like a bridge where you can walk between the two peaks of mountaintops. Wow, was that beautiful. And interestingly enough, it doesn't snow as much nowadays as it used to. And they said that when the sun is shining like directly, on you, that sometimes you don't really need a coat. You can just kind of wear like a sweater or something like that, that it's not as cold as you might believe it is or should be. So Wow. My aunt that passed away, what was it, October? That was one place that she always wanted to go. She said, I don't know why I get this feeling that I just need to go to Switzerland. She said, I always wanted to go to Switzerland. So one of these days I'm gonna have to make that trip for her. I am gonna have to make that trip for her. I tried to tell her she should go, but just never seemed like the right time. All right. Yeah, they both were. The Orange Menace was once a Democrat. He said that he ran for president, it would be as a Republican. Yeah, well, interestingly enough, so was Ronald Reagan. He was once a Democrat. And of course, he said, I didn't leave the Democrat Party. The Democrats left me. That was his famous slogan. He had an answer for everything. I told you, they have so much in common. So much in common. Although I must admit, I think Donald Trump is, when it comes to being an actor, I would say, I would say Donald Trump is probably the stronger actor. I won't say better, but just a stronger actor. Um, and of course, once Reagan was elected, they asked Betty Davis about him. She said, "Well, we used to call him Little Ronnie Reagan." And Betty Davis, of course, was a lifelong Democrat. And when, they said, well, how was he as an actor? He was terrible. You know how she used to drag out those words. He was terrible. uh, Leave it to Betty Davis, right? Terrible. Okay. Yeah, it's already New Year's for some people, right? It is the new year for some people. Or is it? Wait. No, not yet, right? That'll be, yeah, well, gosh, I always get confused about that. Guess what? I am a fan of, what is it? Meekage Sensei. Yeah, Meekage Sensei, and I am watching Polo, which is streaming on Netflix. This is the sport that Professor Meekage played while studying abroad. Was this translated accurate? I guess so. But yeah, there's someone in Japan watching Polo. I mean, well, why not? Of course, Netflix is everywhere, but um, you never really know the reach of things because given the distance and the language and such, we almost forget that things are translated into languages all over the world. Just like they say, there's an episode of I Love Lucy playing somewhere in the world and probably has nonstop played someplace on television, probably since it went into syndication. Like almost while the show was still running, there was 24 hours of I Love Lucy, and just about all of the big uh, comedies, they would play them somewhere in the world. And I'll never forget when I first went to Germany and I saw the Huxtables, the Cosby Show dubbed into German. Theo, I was like, this is fun. But yeah, it's fun watching those shows dubbed into another language. Prince Harry is following his mom's footsteps, following in his mom's footsteps. He's been a huge advocate for HIV awareness and has worked with Tackle HIV to spread the facts and encourage everyone to get tested for HIV. And over here it says, my mom worked was unfinished, I feel obligated to try and continue that as much as possible, but I can never fill her shoes, especially in this particular space with what she stood for and how vocal she was about HIV, Prince Harry. So, this is something that they posted today. Um, of course, for most people who are infected, HIV has become a chronic illness, but there are still people being infected every day, every year. And there's also people that eventually will die from AIDS related complications. So um, it is still a thing, just like so many other diseases. But fortunately, because of science, it has become a chronic illness rather than a death sentence. So thank goodness for that. Okay. Charles. Oh, let's talk about Charles III. King Charles Model Village in revolt as residents threaten to sue over plans to install 83-foot tall curtain of trees that would block their countryside views. Now, I don't want to be morbid. I don't want to be morbid, but at the rate that some trees grow, is that really going to be an issue for some of those frosty top pensioners that are looking at the camera? Is that really going to be an issue for them? um, yes, I know that the mortality rate is not what it used to be, but I'm just asking, aren't they? Well, before I go on, let's just take a look. Now, that is Poundbury. That is the property that Charles developed. And I believe it started, what, in 1998, 93, something like that. Residents in King Charles Model Town are threatening legal action over plans to plant a curtain of trees in front of their new homes that will block their views. Homeowner in Poundbury, Dorset, paid a premium for the uninterrupted countryside views of Thomas Hardy's Wessex. They now say that they were hoodwinked by the Duchy of Cornwall's developer after learning of plans to plant 22 trees right in front of them. Retired charter surveyor Donald and Christine Brett said that they did a lot of research before they downsized to a £570,000 three-bedroom house on the street in March of 2022. They paid an extra £120,000 for the stunning outlook over the area of outstanding natural beauty. Well, I mean, when you put it like that, if you've paid over $100,000 for a particular view, then yeah, you want to save that. So yeah, that's worth fighting for. When you look at it like that, I mean, it's not as cut and dry as but they say that the trees won't become, an adult tree, if that makes sense, but like a full grown tree for 10 years. For 10 years. So at some point it will be an issue. And on principle, they did pay extra for that. And then you know how they lead to another story? Well, check that out. King Charles Model Town Poundbury has rats everywhere, and families living there are plagued by an awful smell. Now, I thought that only the older communities were the ones where Charles could be accused of being a slumlord, but it turns out that some of the newer ones are a mess too. Did someone say Wessex? Maybe Edwina Can't help but the view doesn't look like much to me. Yeah, it doesn't really look like much of a view. It's just flat countryside. There's no hills or no valleys, no water features or anything. It just looks like flat farmland, but they paid extra for it. So, I think it's only fair that they get what they paid for. Uh okay. I was just looking at some of your comments. All right. Oh gosh, what is that small print there? It says residents of King's model town of Poundbury have kicked up a stink over unemptied bins. Rats have even compared to wait, rats and have even compared it to a third world country. Oh boy, talk about some drama mamas. The Dorset town is supposed to be His Majesty's vision of a utopian ideal, but locals have been left enraged at the state of his designer village, which is due to be completed in 2026. They claim that the bins outside a block of flats in Wishay Street are being left to pile sky high, attracting foul smells and rats. Huge rats. Rats as big as cats. Well, and of course, that was Prince Charles who started this whole thing. Now they really have to complain to William. Now William is the landlord. William is their landlord. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. And of course, when it comes to rats, are they sure that these are rodents or are they royals? Because there's different kind of rats, they come in several species. Some of them like to dress up in uniforms, or some of them like to go and find Diana's old designer and solicit him to make a gown so that they can, identify with Diana, I guess. But yeah, so what kind of rats are we talking about? There are rats and then there are royal rats. So what kind of rats? You got to be more specific. What rats are you talking about? Especially what's his name? Morad Morali. He always refers to one of the royals as the rat. So, yeah, it may have not been an infestation. It may have just been a royal visit. You never know. It could have just been a royal visit. Recollections may vary. Rodents may vary. They're going to have to get some bigger traps. They're going to have to call pest control. These rats have been scurrying around Clarence House and Buckingham Palace, Windsor, Highgrove, and of course, Dumfries. You know who was missing this year? You know who was missing this year? December 26, 2023. I just happened to go through some of my old, slides and such. And look what I found. Remember the black sisters? I think they were sisters that claimed that they loved the royal family and that they didn't want to miss this and they come every year or something like that. They said, where were they this year? You see, the big difference last year, they were in trouble because they were accused by Omid Scobie, they, of course, being Charles and his grinning daughter in law, were accused of being racist. So this year, they don't have to lean on Black people as much because they have cancer to, give them their get out of jail free card. They can use the cancer card. So, ironically, the flag waving American Black women that claim they love the royal family so much have been nowhere to be found on the Christmas Day walk. Isn't that interesting? It makes you ask the question, where did they find them in the first place? Where'd she come from? Smiling and grinning and Lordy have mercy. I just love the royal family. Praise be. The Lord did spared me long enough that I had a chance to meet the king. Huh? How did that happen? Where did they come from? And more interesting, how have they disappeared, never to be seen or heard from again? Almost like they were paid actors and that they brought a flag with them. The crowd on Christmas Day has shrunk from thousands to a few hundred. And out of that few hundred, it just so happens that a couple of African American women traveled all the way over to the UK so they could be there for the royal family at Christmas. And if I'm correct, I'm sure they said, oh, we come every year. We wouldn't miss this. Let's see. Vaughn says, I got $5 on a jumbo size can of Ray for those nasty rats. Well, thank you so much for the super sticker. I think you're going to need more than that. I think you're going to need something more industrial. Because these are some survivors. Yeah, they've that colony of rats has been around for 1,000 years, and they'll be here 1,000 more. I guess you have to start using the can. And take a look on the right. So Harry, who royals to put on a united front at Buckingham Palace reception tonight as they brush off Omid Scobie's racism row with a series of engagements with adoring members of the public. So remember, this time last year, Omid Scobie had rattled their cage really good, and they were all over the place. And it seemed like every place they went, there was Black people there. Every place they went, there were always Black people in a position that was most advantageous to the camera crew. Now, this is what you call crisis management. Yeah, this is what you call crisis management. And then, of course, yes, there's Uncle Ben. There goes Uncle Ben, London's first Black Lord Lieutenant Sir Kenneth Olisa dismisses racist royal scandal as nonsense and says discussing the features of an unborn child is harmless. Well, he wouldn't be in that position if they couldn't expect him to give them the cover that they so desire. And this is the person who resides in London, and whenever the sovereign or other members of the royal family make visits to institutions around Greater London, he shows up in uniform to greet them. And then, of course, if there are introductions necessary, that's also his job. Now, I do believe he's the first Black person to hold this position. What an honor to have this position granted by the late Queen. So, of course, he's going to, and he did the same thing for Queen Elizabeth. Do you remember when they said the Queen that he and the Queen discussed George Floyd, and that meant that the Queen could not possibly be racist because, after all, we discussed George Floyd. I'm afraid that is not really proof. That just means that she was curious, right? That just means that she was curious. It doesn't mean that she's not this or not that. That just meant that she was curious. So that's what he does, is that he runs block for them anytime that they are accused of being racist. So, in other words, he's singing for his supper, and he just happens to look like Uncle Ben from the rice box. uh, he does. He reminds me of Uncle Ben. Let me see. And let me find his photo. And I will show you what I mean. Okay, there's that one. And yeah, I think that's enough proof. That is enough proof. I think that he's not even English, he's American. And when he's not running block for the royal family, he is probably very wealthy and the owner of a of a rice company. Yeah, when he's not running block for the royal family, he probably is a very wealthy rice manufacturer, rice producer. Yep, that's our Uncle Ben or Uncle Ken. uh, do I have too much time on my hands? Be honest. Do I have too much time on my hands? If you're ever wondering, where's Baron? What's taking so long? Now you know. Now you know. Oh, wait, you got to see this one. You have got to see this one. Now, they're getting up in age. I don't know if Charles is holding him up or if he's holding Charles up. I don't know who's holding up the other, but they are getting on in age, aren't they? It's like two drunks tied together trying to hold each other up. Well, he does his job. He does his job. He's lucky to have that job, I would imagine. But um, like I said, he's a trailblazer where royal service is concerned. Okay, one more. One more. Vendetta at the Bosses Club. Sir Ken Olisa blasts the accuser behind the useless report into his boss lady's judge, whatever that means. But anyway, Sir Ken, yeah, he's had a spot of bother, a bit of controversy. See there, black deputy furious the defense of racist chair claims against her are such. What is that? What is that? Something nonsense. I can't read it. He blames bitterness and culture envy. Culture envy? Anyway, Sir Ken has had a lot of firsts. He was the first Black man to set up his own merchant bank, the first to be a board of be a board director at the public company. Oh, that is so small. I can barely see that. Let me see. Oh, well, the heck with it. I can't see that. That is too small for me. Let me get rid of that. Anyway, I don't really care for him. He's not one of my favorite people in this world. Without a spine and has kids without okay. Avid Reader says you can tell they never interact with people of color because they are so awkward and uncomfortable around Black people. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Okay, let's go on to the next thing. Also, I'm just sharing with you a couple of these things that I saved from last year when they were in such a panic. One for all for one. Top Royals united for Palace Ball. Now remember, they were in such a panic. They were in such a panic because of Omit's book. It wasn't anything Harry and Meghan said. Omid was the one who wrote the book. Omid was just expressing his experience as a royal reporter, and also he was trying to give them some much needed feedback to save the monarchy. Royals put on a show of defiance days after being smeared in Omid Scobie's race row. King and Queen are joined by Prince William and a dazzling Kate as they mingle with a glittering group of global guests at the Buckingham Palace diplomatic reception. Oh, you guys remember when I forgot which reporter they said that that was Kate's revenge dress, even though Kate wore that boring flesh tone um sequins dress to that wedding in Dubai or wherever they went. Jordan, was it? Wherever that was. She wore that boring dress before, and they were trying to say that that was her revenge dress. Now, I don't know who she was supposed to be getting revenge. Was it Omid Scobie? Was it supposed to be Harry and Meghan? The Sussex squad? And I'm pretty sure that the person that wrote that article doesn't know either. That is not a revenge dress. There's nothing revengeful about that dress. It's just plain boring kitty. Okay. And this BBC News to start search for first royal editor amid souring audience interest in the monarchy. Soaring audience. You know what I'm trying to say. I think royal, I think sour. Soaring interest in monarchy. I'm surprised they didn't have one. And then, of course, British public support for monarchy at historic low, polls reveal. Now, interesting, when Omid's book came out, but you can see that article right there is from, oh, you know what? It really started to tank with Spare. And then by the time Omid's book came out, that was the double whammy. That was the double whammy. Yeah. So that was from April. So that was still like a little backlash from Spare. And then Omid completed the circle. I'm telling you, those are two of the best books ever written. And of course, I shared this just yesterday. King and Queen are joined by almost all of the family. Isn't it amazing how in 1 year you got was the York sisters weren't even planning to go, but one of them couldn't fly because of her pregnancy, so she ended up going. Of course, we never did see Camilla's children. They didn't show up. And who else? And of course, the Duke and Duchess of York, Sarah and that vicious bowl of jello. What's his name? Andrew. Both of them didn't show up. So Christmas at Sandringham was a disaster. There was barely anyone there. And I promise you, I don't think Camilla's children showed up. They didn't show up and they didn't bring their children. If they were there, they would have made it a point to have photographed them. They said, oh, they arrived privately. Wasn't the whole point for them to walk with them for Christmas? And that Camilla had had a hard time for the past 2 years? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Now, Sandy Sussex says, oops, KP bots are working themselves into a frenzy because they can't handle the truth. So here's another home truth for you. Willie's always had the hots for Meghan. He never got over the fact Harry got the more beautiful and more accomplished wife. He can't contain his lust. And it just creeps me out. Oh, that creeps me out. The Willie glare. That just creeps me out. I don't like him looking at the Duchess like that. I don't even want to know what he's thinking. I don't even want to know why he's thinking. I just rather he not. But his obsession with all things Sussex is glaringly obvious. There's a reason for it. And that is because William married a Stepford wife and Harry married a star. Not just because of acting or television or anything like that, just because. Just because. Meghan commands the room. As Harry said, when he first went to meet her and he looked in the room and saw the way she was, the center of attention and everything seemed to orbit around her, my words, not his, he decided to pull back for a second and brace himself. He said, I knew I had to step my game up. Now that says a lot because everybody knows that Harry is quite the charmer, but that was not going to do because he knew that that alone was not going to impress somebody like Meghan. Like she said, her first words was, is he nice? She didn't care about who he was or where he came from. She just wanted to know if he was a nice person. That's the best place to start. Is he nice? And if you guys watched that movie with Blake Lively and Justin Bodani, the way that the movie kind of starts off, or, when they first meet, I could not help but think about that question. Is he nice? Is he nice? And if you saw the movie, then you understand why I'm saying this. Because the signs were there, but were you paying attention? Okay, so go on here. Dubious use of Freedom of Information Act, stopping access to files on Prince Andrew's, researchers says. So apparently they're using the Freedom of Information Act, and those files cannot be seen for 105 years after his birth. And interestingly enough, Andrew Lonnie, why is Prince Andrew being protected? The files on him as special representative needs to be made public. And this is a guy who is writing that book, the book about Andrew working with the Chinese. Who else? Peter Phillips, Zara the Tongue Ring Tyndall, and of course, Sarah Ferguson. So this guy has been trolling Andrew for about a month now. And this is yet another example. And Richard Palmer, who likes to pretend as though he's asking tough questions. Britain's information right regulator has found nothing to support Foreign Office claim that file on Duke of York cannot be released until 2065, fueling complaints of a government cover-up. There's also concern about the National Archives. Well, as far as that is concerned, you still have to recognize the fact that the government employed him. He was given this position by the government. The what was it? The trade envoy at large or whatever. They were trying to give him something to do. And apparently he has made some connections with some dodgy people. I don't think it's any worse than Charles. Probably not nearly as bad as Charles, but Charles is protected. Now Charles can never be called to witness in a court because the British courts are in his name. So now he is immune from prosecution. That's why they didn't really investigate him for the cash for honors. But anytime they choose, they can start going after Andrew for something that they all knew about. It was sanctioned by the government. Now, to draw attention away from other things like being a slumlord, they want to rinse and repeat all over again. And I'm not saying that Andrew doesn't deserve this, but I would like to see some of the big fish get taken down by these things because they're avoiding the topic when it comes to Charles. Willie, let me go back to that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Harry knew what was on his mind. Yeah, the black dress, clearly that should be called a revenge dress. Oh yeah, and the red hair. Absolutely. And Beatrice looked very unhappy. She never cracked a smile their entire time. Oh, are you talking about the garden party? Yeah, the garden party, she looked particularly grim. Okay, let's go to the next one. Um, objectifying a child. Charlotte looks like Diana. I'm sure Megsy hates her because of it. Now, this is the words of a deranger. This is one reason why Marco keeps her kids hidden. They don't look like Diana and they aren't as attractive as the Welleses. Yes, that is insanity. Well, at least she knows it, but not, for the reasons that she thinks. But Marco is this shallow. The derangers. Now, it's one thing if they're talking rubbish, but then here comes Hello Magazine. From little princess to royal icon, That's a child, not an icon. That's a child. Are we there now? Is this where we are? Is this where we are? Too soon. Too soon. Because of the hole that exists in that family of uncharismatic people, they're going to start leaning on those children more and more. They're going to start leaning on them for popularity for that family. Judy Matassit, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you for being a member of Royal Sussex. She's just a child. Leave that girl alone. The other thing that I hate is, oh, I can't wait to see Louis. What is Louis gonna do? Oh, that makes me sick. That just literally makes me sick. It makes my stomach queasy how they speak and act toward those children. I agree. Leave them babies alone. Yeah, that too, CL, that too. And you know, the other reason why they want the Sussex kids visible, they want them public, is so that they can start pitting one family against the other or one child against the other. They want that so desperately. They really want that desperately. Do you guys remember when oh gosh, what is her name? Lorraine, is it Lorraine Kelly? Do you remember when Lorraine Kelly compared Louis to a clown? She let slip the comparison of Louis to a clown. Let me see, Lorraine Kelly. Yep, I remember that. Yeah, it says, I normally like Lorraine, but this morning when she referred to Prince Louis as a clown, I was shocked. A title he would find hard to, let me see, hard to live with. I got to open it up. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. A title he would find hard to live down. It was terrible. Words such as this should not be used against innocent little boy having fun. Lorraine has been on TV long enough to know what's acceptable. Let me drink some water. To know what's acceptable and what isn't. I would be fuming if someone remarked about my grandchildren in this way. I switched off as soon after such an ignorant, flippant, and damaging thing to say in the media. Millions watch her every day. Now, this phrase is out there for good, and she can't undo it. Lorraine's replacements are proving themselves to be far more professional than herself. She really should know better. Yeah, Lorraine Kelly referred to Louis as a clown. Somebody said boisterous is better. He's a star, so funny, just a typical wee boy. Let me see. He's absolutely a child. He is funny and innocent, but please be respectful. Seems this young boy is already being talked about all the time. He's a beauty of a soul who predictors won't leave him alone. Why do people have a right to comment and report on children as hearsay or presume and assume never any clarity on anything? Yeah, it was a bizarre comment. Like terribly wonderful. Stop it now. Too many drunk snobs. I wonder if this person is accusing her of being drunk. Yeah, I just thought about that. I remember that though. She referred to Louis as a clown. That was Lorraine Kelly. Okay. Okay, let's move on. Um, Now, one of the derangers had a picture of Kate. That's the unveiling of that portrait. I kind of changed the picture though. I wanted something that was more realistic, something that had not been photoshopped or filtered in any way. Yeah, I thought this was a better fit compared to the other one. I'm just saying, I think this is a better fit. The other one didn't seem rooted in reality, but this one, I think this speaks to the real Kate Middleton. Or am I just petty? I think I am petty AF. Um, I don't know why this was brought up, but inside thorny subject of Kate Middleton appearing topless within sight of paparazzi doing a Provence holiday, a province holiday, Provence. Anyway, former Buckingham Palace press officer Dickie Arbiter raises the thorny subject of the Princess of Wales appearing topless within sight of paparazzi during her province holiday in 2012. In a Channel 5 documentary, Arbiter blames security failures for the long land snap taken from a public road at the future Lord Snowden's property. Pictures were published worldwide, though not in Britain. Yeah, not in Britain. Williams successfully sued, winning substantial damages. In the two-parter called Kate, Arbiter states, you don't expect to be photographed on a private estate, but if you can be seen from a public vantage point, then it is a bit self-inflicted. Are they really going to talk about this? In a Channel 5 documentary, Arbiter blames security failures for long lens. Yeah, I guess they are. The thing is, I think they are bringing more attention to them little flapjacks than they would have ever have gotten just, on their own. It ain't really much to photograph. I'm surprised it didn't take a long range lens and a microscope. That's probably how they got it. They used they used a long range lens and a microscope because I'm telling you, it's not much there. She's on the committee. And y'all know what committee that is, right? You can go ahead and name the committee. I don't want to name it, but you can name it. What is the name of that committee that she's on? Come on, I'll wait for it. Name the committee. But I have seen the photos. What gets me is it seemed like there was these very awkward poses. You know how they used to have those little paper dolls for the little girls to cut out, and you just like cut out the little paper doll and you put the little paper dress and the paper, top or jacket or whatever. Um Oh, I think y'all know the committee. Itty bitty something committee. Itty bitty something committee. Yeah, that's it. The itty bitty something committee. They are starved for something to write about. The Sussex are so quiet and peaceful. Yeah, there's really nothing to talk about the Sussexes. They have rehashed everything so much, so often that it's almost just a waste of time. They need Harry and Meghan to make an appearance so that they can have some fresh material. Well, the court case is coming up, but yeah, she's on that committee. I'm just surprised that they're talking about it, though. I'm really, really shocked. Seemed like they would have just left that alone. Well, but listen, I've seen the pictures. And the reason why I was saying paper dolls is because some of the, I mean, like, look at that awkward pose that you see right there. It almost seemed like they were, breakdancing or something. I mean, I know they weren't, but the way they were like moving on the balcony and everything, it was like they were breakdancing, like they were pop locking or something. It was very strange. These very awkward poses, like they had just watched Paris is Burning. Yeah, it was just like they watched that movie Paris is Burning, and they were trying to reenact some of the scenes from the balls. Well, that's what it seemed like. Like they were trying to like they had just watched some kind of hip hop thing and they were trying to reenact those poses. And they were putting suntan lotion on each other. It was all very sweet and very bizarre looking. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Oh, well, that's what they get. Like Trump said, that's their fault. He should have known better. That's what Trump said. Trump said they should have known better. Now, let's get into Martin, Ministry of Hacks. Ministry of Hacks. We have to do this. Martin, Ministry of Hacks.
Morning, friends. It's the day before New Year's Eve. Welcome back to salty but also sycophantic island. Well, we all know the Daily Mail sycophantic. This non-article, this non-story was created and uploaded very quickly to try and recover from the damage of the previous article. Check out my previous video if you haven't seen it. But I do love the way that this journalist is maybe having a little pop at William and Kate in this recovery headline. The year that changed the Waleses. How royal fans have seen Kate and William like never before. Seen massive little dig. We haven't actually seen a lot of them in 2024. We've literally seen Kate on 7 occasions. And yes, royalists, before you actually spit your tea out at your iPhone screen, although you probably all use Android, we understand. We understand the reasons behind the reasons we were given for Kate not appearing. We get that. We get that. We understand it. Comments are open as ever. Non-articles are galore because these two lazy benefit scroungers don't actually do anything. I think the 2025 season of Kate and William is going to be a shocker. But as ever, let me know what you think. Morning, friends. Morning, friends. It's the day before New Year's Eve. It's absolutely freezing in Yorkshire, and I've got to pick family up from the railway station later. Joy. Don't you absolutely love a Daily Mail headline that has to be edited later, plus another fake story, which will be covered in my next video? Stay tuned. Has to be created to cover up the damage from this one. This was before it was edited because you know me, guys. I'm pretty hot off the mark when it comes to stuff like this. And there's a couple of things in this headline which really need to make us think. The biggest being, of course, that Catherine, Princess of Wales, is yet again back to being plain old, demure, boring Kate Middleton. What's going on there? Second thing is lazy royals. We talk about that a lot on the channel. But this journalist is making out that William's actually been working hard. It's just Charles and Kate that have been sat on their gilded, entitled backsides. Kate's demoted. Most of them are lazy. William's been working hard. What an end to 2024. You couldn't make it up. Comments are open, guys. Let me know what you think. Morning, friends. It's the day before New Year's Eve. It's absolutely freezing in Yorkshire, and I've got to pick family up for...
Okay. So that was Martin from Ministry of Hacks. He is very good at grabbing those headlines before they change them, which is a practice that I have learned, is that if you see something that seems rather awkward or made up, you got to grab it because they get a call from the palace that says, listen, do we really want to run with that particular story? So, yeah, he's learned to do that too. But I just think that is so strange that they would imply that the Duchess of Edinburgh matches Princess Anne for completing highest number of overseas trip this year as pair feel void left by King Charles and Kate Middleton. I mean, come on. Kate never has worked that much in the first place. And plus, what's her name? Afro Annie, she had time off because of that kick in the head. So she didn't work as much as she would have worked. You know, if you just want to be truthful about it, she has worked more in the past. Plus, she is, 70-something years old. She's not a young lady anymore. So I think that the Duchess of Edinburgh she matched her overseas trip, but has she matched her amount of work at home? Doesn't really matter because what they do is not really work in the first place. It's just socializing. There's no real work. There's no real work. Hey, Rohini. Rohini says, William working hard. Does pulling pork count as work? Well, it depends on... It depends on whose pork you're pulling, right? It depends on whose pork you're pulling. So in the meantime, we'll just wait for William to tell us more about the pulled pork sandwich. Chickens, chicken legs, chicken cutlets. I love that picture of Kate. It just, you don't know whether she's glad to see you or if she's about to pull out a weapon. You just don't know. That is a very deranged look if I've ever seen one, or does it scream medication? It could be all of the above: medicated, deranged, and possibly dangerous. Oh, thank you so much for being here, Beverly. Have a good night. Let's see. And I don't really have that many slides left. Yeah, I really don't have that many slides left. Or do I? No, I don't. I only got a couple more. I just realized that. All right. And of course, there's this. I don't know if there's something. Now, see, I shared this photo with someone a long time ago, and they accused me of having done something to the picture. I has been that is it is what you see is what you see. I have not done anything to this photo. As you can see, it looks the same on the magazine. And if you pull up that image, you're going to see the same thing. I have not touched it. I have not touched it. There's a very unique, frame. Kate has a very unique frame. And obviously, it must be something to it. I mean, after all, didn't they used to call her Beautiful Kate? She's very athletic. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. She's very athletic. And she's always been known to be very athletic. That's it. Since we're on the topic of vacations and holidays and the Wellses, I just thought I would share that and ask you your opinion. I don't think that those images have been altered in any way. It is what it is. And lastly, this is the last slide. What is the most important thing you've done this year? I say survived. Yes, I say survived. That is the most important thing that we've done this year is survive. Aside from that, we all voted our conscience here in the U.S. and in other countries where they've had elections. People voted their conscience. We loved and cared for our families and for our friends. Hopefully, we managed to help people along the way, right? And this community has grown. I mean, there seems to be several new Sussex-friendly spaces, and I'm very impressed, with the quality of it too. Very good spaces. So that's a good thing. So yeah, if you just want to say what the most important thing is that you've done this year, you can go ahead and share that on our way out. But yeah, survive is a big one. Survive is a big one. And we're going to have to definitely focus on that for next year because we don't know what's coming next in terms of how is it they say when the United States sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold? Well, there is a disease coming to the White House. And I am not saying that we should panic, but things are going to be different because now they know how everything works. Before, they didn't really know how to make things work. But now they know how to make things work. And we just have to be very vigilant and we have to handle our business, right? But do not panic. Let's see. What am I missing? What is no comment. No comment. Well, if you guys want to think about that and maybe come up with something for tomorrow. But yeah, so I got to start working on tomorrow's Royal Sussex because we have about 4 hours of Royal Sussex to fill, where we will talk about how exciting this year has been for the Sussexes, and we can speak about our dreams and hopes and plans for next year, and of course, what we expect for the Sussexes. But yeah, it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Good night, Gwendolyn Daniels. Anyway, I'm not going to drag it out like I did last night. It's been an hour and 26 minutes. That is long enough. We're going to be on for a long time tomorrow night. Starting at 11:30 Eastern time. So we can wish Happy New Year to the Sussexes, Sussex squad on the East Coast. And I don't know, I may come on a little early just for the UK time. We'll see. Well, I would be impressed if I remember to come on, to be honest with you. I would be impressed. Yes, I like that. Not only survive, but to thrive. That's it. Not only to survive, but to thrive. Thank you, Maurice Brown. All right. Let me take it back up to the top. Isby says William was attracted to her. I see. I see. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about, Helen. I just hope I remember to do it. I suppose, let me see, what time would that be? So if it's midnight there, it would be about, I think I would have to come on at 5:30. But I wouldn't stay on for long, but I would only be on, come on at 5:30 my time. Because there's like a 6 hour difference. Wait, is that right? Not 5:30. Yeah, 5:30. 5:30. So 6 p.m. my time, I think, is midnight for you all. I think. But anyway, I'll work it out. Maybe we'll do something very short for the UK, and then I'll come back later. That would be fun. I'm trying to remember. Did I do that last year? I don't think so. But anyway, I will give you all plenty notice. If I do come on, I'll probably give you about a half-hour notice if I come on earlier for the UK. All right. Then it's been one. Love you guys. Thank you very much to the Mod Squad for keeping this the safe space that it has always been for Sussex friendly people. Champagne and popcorn. Love it. Oh, I didn't do it last year. Okay. But yeah, it would be fun. So I'm going to try to make it happen then. I'm going to try to make it happen. It'll be a first then. I'm pretty sure it'll be a first. And yeah, I'll try to make it happen. So for anybody in that time zone, I hope to see you all tomorrow. Okay, that's it then. We are out.
I love you so much. I love her. Oh my god, not with the flashlight. I'm sorry, it turned on. Oh my god, I love you. Oh my god, not. I love you so much. I love her. Oh my god, not with the flashlight. I'm sorry, it turned on.
How's your lunch, Meghan?
You're looking amazing, Meghan.